Good evening and welcome. You're watching Left, Right and Centre. Think about it. It's been more than 3 months since the Supreme Court opened the gates of the Sabarimala temple to women of all age groups. Yet only now have 2 women, perhaps 3, entered the temple, though police sources claim that a Sri Lankan woman is actually the 3rd individual who's entered the temple on Thursday. The 2 women who first entered, they were in their 40s, made history. They entered the temple allegedly in plain sight with plainclothes policemen protecting them. Speaking to my colleague Sneha Mary Koshin, you'll see that interview in a few moments at an undisclosed location. The 2 women said they were not activists or political workers but believed in the Supreme Court's authority and were only exercising their constitutional right. They say we've opened the way for other women to enter the temple. Remember, once the news of their successful entry into the temple broke, parts of Kerala became virtually a war zone. 30 police personnel were injured, 750 at least were arrested. On the show tonight, faith versus gender equality versus politics. Can India pass the Sabarimala test?
Do you think that you are one of those people who have ushered a new beginning for Kerala? Do you see that like that?
തീർച്ചയായും ഇനി വരുന്ന ശബരിമലയിലേക്ക് യാത്ര തിരിക്കാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്ന സ്ത്രീകൾക്ക് ഒരു പ്രചോദനമായി ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് രണ്ടുപേർക്കും നിൽക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചു എന്നുള്ളതിൽ വളരെയധികം സന്തോഷം തോന്നുന്നുണ്ട്, സംതൃപ്തിയുണ്ട്.
She's very satisfied and she's very happy that for the women who now want to go to Sabarimala, they stand as an example. Bindu, in Supreme Court, this whole decision, there are petitions which have been filed for review. It's coming up in the court on 22nd. But the court never said, don't go to Sabarimala. They never had a wait. They did not have a stay order. But people are saying, why are you in such a hurry to go to Sabarimala? Why are women in such a big hurry? Why are women between 10 to 50 years of age in such a hurry? Why are activists in such a hurry to go to Sabarimala? Can't you wait till January 22nd? What is your response to them?
Actually, Supreme Court decision is binding to all subordinate courts and all other organs of the society and also people. But at the same time, the people from opposite sections raise another allegations and they never accept the verdict. I think they also denied our constitutional principles and constitutional validity.
Bindu, tell me a little about your family background. And then I'll ask you, why am I really asking this question?
Actually, my parents are coming from a downtrodden family, and they are illiterate, and my father is no more. My mother is saying that no woman in the age group of 10 to 50s never go to this temple.
So she's against that?
Yeah, against that. But at the same time, I respect her opinion, and all the people shall have a right to keep their own stance.
I think that's an important point you're making. All the people have the right to make their own stand, their own position. You respect their opinion. But do you think your opinion is being respected? Yes. Do you think in today's society your opinion is being respected?
I think that most of the people from our society is also respect my opinion and support me.
What would you say to the violent protests that Kerala, that India, the world for that matter, has witnessed in Sabarimala? With so many women being stopped there forcefully. And after you both went to the temple, the kind of violence that has broken out across Kerala, what do you have to say to that?
Actually, minority people are violent. Minority means less than 5% of total population. I think it is 2%.
Okay, so you mean a very small section of the whole society is really violent about it? Yeah.
But at the same time, many of the devotees and the progressive sections have supported our stand and always stand with us. That shows that some parties or some people are clearly they shall have some political agenda.
Do I have all my... All right. Well, joining us now, Subhashini Ali of the CPM, Brinda Adige, the women's rights activists, Srinath Swethadri, the BJP leader, and Deepa Ishwar of the Safe Sabarimala campaign. We're looking at faith versus gender equality versus politics. Can India pass the Sabarimala test? Let me just quickly go across to Srinath Swethadri first. Mr. Swethadri, if you look at the issue of triple talaq, Mr. Swethadri, are you listening to me? If you look at the issue of triple talaq for one moment, what did the Prime Minister say? He said triple talaq is not a religion issue, this is about gender justice. But the Prime Minister on the issue of Sabarimala said every temple has their own beliefs, there are temples where men are not allowed. So as far as Sabarimala is concerned, sir, what happened to the issue of gender justice?
So I would like to slightly take a minute on a small issue. Look at this. We talk of women empowerment, and we want women to come up in the society on their own. We have no issues on that. We are very clear on that. All of us are clear on that. See, now a lady becomes a fighter flight pilot. It's by her capability and her strength. So she does it, and the same way we have lady army officers who are at 15,000 feet in Himalayas who are guarding us. And if you take it in the same line, Supreme Court judges are there, women. And then further down...
No, but I don't understand. Is this some sort of overwhelming great achievement? Are you talking about women becoming fighter pilots and soldiers and judges because we've had a history of deep sexism where women were denied this?
Not only that.
Because quite frankly, our women are as capable as our men in all of these roles. So I'm not understanding the point of the examples.
Yes, they are. We have to accept that.
Yes.
See, the point is 120-ton truck driving license was given to a lady in Karnataka 10 years back.
So?
And you have a defense minister who is capable. You have an external affairs defense minister, Nirmala Sitharaman.
I don't but what is so extraordinary about this? Where does the sex of the person come into this? Women are not inferior to men, sir. Women are not inferior to men. Women do the same thing that men do. It doesn't matter if a man drives a 10-ton truck or a woman drives a 10-ton truck.
There is a relation. You need to allow me to talk. You see, Nirmala Sitharaman had to reply, and she had to reply to the President of Congress, and she gave a very fitting reply. See, this is women empowerment. So now, when you come to talaq is a social change which has brought in, and no, it is not a religious issue at all. I'll elicit on that at a later stage. And now
it's about gender justice, right? It's about gender justice, right?
Why am I talking about it? You see, there are a lot of bank chairmen who have come out from the women. No, you see, it is not because men push them. They came up on their own
strength. Mr. Swethadri, you've not answered my question. The Prime Minister said triple talaq was about gender justice.
Two women,
but over here he says,
I will tell you, two women who went to
Sabarimala. There are temples where men are not allowed.
Two women who went to Sabarimala went because four men supported this. It is not on their own they could do it. Men supported it. They were taken to Sabarimala by an ambulance. See, this is where the local government, Kerala government, try to officially get into an operation on this. See, this is something which should not have been done.
Subhashini Ali, how would you respond to this? That apparently the Kerala government was trying to fulfill some sort of political objective by getting these women in. Subhashini Ali, go ahead.
Can you stop shouting, please?
Can you go ahead.
Please stop shouting and then I can reply.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. See, the government of Kerala, has got a constitutional responsibility to uphold the decision of the Supreme Court. Neither did the government say women should all go, nor did they say they should not go. They said the Supreme Court decision is there and we have to honor it. And the point I would like to stress is, when those two brave women were going to the temple, there were hundreds of devotees on both sides of them. Not even one of them looked at them or protested or opposed their going.
You're wrong.
That goes to show that the real devotees who are devoted to Lord Ayyappa, they have absolutely no objection to it. It is other people who are posing to be devotees who are staging these violent protests.
To defy the fight of the people.
Mr. Smithadri, 1 minute. Deepa, I'll come to you. We've got time. Let her finish her point. Let her finish. Mr. Smithadri, 1 minute.
That is not true.
See,
please, let's not
let
get
her
into all
finish her
this.
point, and then we'll come to you. Subhashini ma'am, quickly finish your point. Yes.
See, so basically, they were.
So my point is that those women went there.
Communist Party of India government, and if
what is this?
No, Mr. Smithadri,
what is
just
his problem?
reduce his audio, please.
What
Reduce
is
his
his
audio.
problem?
Reduce his audio. Yes, ma'am, go ahead. Ma'am, finish your point.
What I would just like to say is, yes, I'm going to finish my point. So nobody from the devotees opposed these ladies entering the temple, and neither were they airdropped there. They went walking up those steps. My point is, in Maharashtra also there was a temple where women were denied access. The women went to the court, and the women have gained access to that temple where there is a BJP government. So how can you say that in one state it is correct to go by the court's decision, and in another state you have to throw bombs at a police station to oppose a court judgment being implemented?
Okay.
This is just completely the most hypocritical and the most...
Okay, I take your point, ma'am. I want to go across to Deepa Ishwar. Deepa, if you look at what the Supreme Court has said on Sabarimala, and I quote, "The exclusionary practice violates the right of women. Article 17 applies to untouchability practice, but will also apply to subjugation faced by women. Prejudice against women associated with menstruation is a symbol of exclusion." This is what the Supreme Court has said. How can we say that matters of faith are superior to matters of the Constitution, which is what the Supreme Court enforces?
And how can you say that this is, a belief that has been existing, a tradition that has been existing for centuries together, can just be switched on into a mode of acceptance in just 2 weeks' time? On September 28th, the verdict came out, and on October 17th, when the shrine opened, you expected there to be complete peace and people have to just sit and obey the Constitution or the Supreme Court verdict, and that can be spoken on theory, but it's not actually possible practically. That's my first point. Secondly, I'd like to correct Subhashini ma'am there. I think she was cleverly hiding the point, or either she's that or she's very naive. Let me correct you, ma'am. There were devotees who turned around and asked them, are you not in the age group of 10 and 50? And these women said that they were transgenders. I don't know if you've skipped that point. It was a very crucial point that came out in all the news. So they said that they're transgenders. They did not say that they were women. So please don't say that devotees did not stop them. Secondly, they came there midnight. Thirdly, they did not climb the 18 holy steps. They did not complete, they did not climb the 18 sacred steps. That is where the devotees all go. Those are the steps that devotees take in order to reach the shrine area.
So what you're trying to say is that because they didn't fulfill all the practices, they never gave darshan. Right? What you're saying is that...
What I'm trying to say is that since they did not fulfill the practices, they cannot be called devotees. They were there just to prove a point.
Okay, so this is a technical point. The fact of the matter is that they went over there. They perhaps didn't...
The fact of the matter is they went there, but did not. They were not there out of
permission. They were not
airdropped there, but they were definitely taken there by the government.
Brinda Adige, 1 second, Subhashini ma'am, Brinda Adige is here with us as well. Brinda, how would you respond to what Deepa is saying? What she is saying is that, look, these people, the women who went over there were not genuine believers, and that they didn't fulfill the practices, and therefore this is being offered as an explanation of them not having completed this ritual. How would you respond to this argument?
No, I wouldn't say that. See,
I'm asking Brinda Adige. Brinda, go ahead.
And one was from CPI.
Brinda, go ahead.
And one is from the government department, which is a part of the CPI.
May I speak, please?
How can you say that?
Mr. Srinath Smithadri,
okay, first and foremost,
there are others
I think
apart from you. I'm asking Brinda. Go ahead, Brinda.
This is just about...
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This practice that you're talking about is recent. You also know that history has shown it's from 1910. Before that, the temple was with the Adivasis, and this kind of a restrictive practice was not there.
Yes.
And that is why we are now asking you not to hold monopoly over the temple. 1. 2. You are talking about the women not following certain penance, certain steps and all of that. From the day the Supreme Court verdict came in, you people have done nothing but announce and issue threats and intimidation, aggression.
So they'll not take
you think women will come through the same path? One.
So
Two, you're talking about 18 steps. I didn't interrupt you. I think you should have the respect to not interrupt me.
Deepa,
the third point is, will you now say that if they finish their penance and walk the 18 steps, you have no problem? What are you trying to say?
That's not what I'm trying to say. That's not what I'm trying to say.
You are unwilling for anything. You sit on a high horse and you brand people
if these women were unable to fulfill the practices which you say means that they are not true believers, it's because they were not able to do so, not because they didn't want to do so. So therefore, the fact of the matter is that they entered willy-nilly with the protection of the police. This is not the ideal way of doing things. Why get into a situation where there can be violence? Why, Deepa?
You have become all gods.
Because parts of Kerala have gone out of control.
And Deepa, Ishwar are all gods. You all know who's
No, one second. Deepa, 1 second.
Deepa,
go allow us mortals to go there.
According to Subhashini ma'am, no devotees protested. There were no protests. Then why did they not take the 18 sacred steps? So if there were a huge protest and amidst that protest,
they may not have been able to take these 18 sacred steps. But what I'm trying to, but the point, Deepa,
they did not take the 18 steps. You tell me why.
But maybe they couldn't take those 18 steps.
They did not take the 18 steps.
They couldn't take the 18 steps because they were being stopped from taking those 18 steps. And they were being stopped from taking those 18 steps in complete contravention of what the Supreme Court has said.
No, nobody has.
You may not respect what the Supreme Court has said, but you have, it is your prerogative to listen to that. You cannot judge a person of being a non-believer if they were prevented from entering. Sir, Mr. Shwetadri, they were not given that opportunity because there was not free movement. They were brought in over there, earlier at great cost. They could have been killed going over there.
Let us be clear on that. One is both of them are on the party sides. They are on the Communist Party side. Second point
on what Communist Party side?
One of them said, "I go to temples."
Who is on a communist? What does this have to do with the Communist Party side?
Whatever you showed.
They have said in an interview just 10 minutes
back,
they actually for no political party.
Women, it is not women.
You don't have to
what I am trying to
Congress
tell
or
you is
BJP or left to be a believer. These women believe they have a right to go. They've gone there. They've gone there because they want to uphold the right as given to them by the Supreme Court.
This was propped up by
men. Not a place to exercise your constitutional
Communist Party of India pushed it. Why did they do it? Why are they saying that we made them go there?
Mr. Shwetadri, why do you have double standards? Mr. Shwetadri, why do you have double standards? Why is triple talaq an issue of gender discrimination, but the prevention of women to enter Sabarimala not an issue of gender discrimination? Because it suits you politically. Is that the point over here?
Nirmala Sitharaman answered in the parliament. We were not holding her back. She had the guts and capacity.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I'm sure she'll be terribly pleased by your endorsement of her guts and capacity.
And here.
Ms. Subhashini Ali ma'am, let me come back to you because we are running out of time.
They will not endorse the
but I want to ask you this question, ma'am. Because why has the Kerala government been unable to stop the violence which has taken place? Brinda, 1 second.
And the priest
1 second,
refused
Brinda.
to take that irumudi and offer it.
Brinda, half a second. I want to go back to Subhashini Ali. Why was the state government unable to prevent the law and order issue?
Yes.
The violent stone pelting, yes.
Excuse me, but the point is that protest is a right and people have a right to protest. Here are people who are protesting against what? I don't understand. This lady is saying they didn't even enter properly. Some people are saying they entered. The fact of the matter is that the priest of that temple did the most atrocious thing by purifying the temple after the women had entered, which means that the women did enter the temple. The sanctum.
Yes, she did.
And this atrocious act of purification was performed by this priest, which is against every tenet of the constitution, against every tenet of gender justice. That is one thing I would like to say. About the violent protests, they are taking place. The government is trying its best to handle them, and people are also coming out against the protesters. We have seen MNREGA women workers saying we are going to work. We have seen shopkeepers opening their shops, and we have also seen bombs being thrown at police station. We have seen people heckling and threatening a woman journalist. All these things are happening, and the government is trying to do whatever it can to stop these protests. But why are these protests taking place? That is the main question. Why are they protesting? Against what are they protesting? Against the Supreme Court? If they are protesting against the Supreme Court, then why are they protesting in Kerala?
The Supreme Court, they are protesting for their beliefs.
But Deepa,
you know what? The first people that
then what are they protesting against?
No, but Deepa,
what are they protesting against?
Deepa, untouchability is the most horrific crime. This entire business of purifying the shrine because of the entry of women, isn't this untouchability? It's something which we are taught has been a vestige of a past which we have completely thrown aside.
Absolutely wrong.
The exclusionary practice violates the right of women. Article 17 applies to untouchability practices. This Supreme Court judgment, Deepa, the Supreme Court judgment came before the entry of these women, and yet by having this purification ritual, you have violated Article 17, which applies to untouchability practices.
What does it mean?
Isn't this terribly wrong?
What does it mean, this purification?
No, see, there is a legal
women are impure.
Subhashini ma'am, let Deepa answer.
It's very wrong. It's
Subhashini ma'am, 1 second, let Deepa answer. Deepa, go ahead.
Don't try to utilize the Hindu society. Please.
Can I respond to that, please?
Deepa, go ahead.
See, there are two aspects to it. There is a legal aspect to it. There is a religious aspect to it. If you're going to look at it legally, yes, it was wrong on what the Tantri did. But if you look at the religious aspect, which is a very sensitive aspect, and which is why huge protests have been happening, I think what the Tantri did or what the chief priest did was standing by the traditions of the temple. There was nothing else he could have done. He is a devotee himself. He's protecting the sentiments of lakhs of devotees out there. He had to do what is part of the temple tradition. So if you're talking about a temple tradition, then obviously the 18 holy steps also forms part of the temple tradition itself. So was it okay for the young women to violate that particular tradition? So it's okay for them to violate a tradition, but it's not okay for us to perform a puja that is also part of the temple tradition. Now, if you look at it from a purity angle, it sounds very bad. But trust me, be it a woman, be it a man, be it a child, be it an animal.
All right, well, it's the issue of faith, and the Supreme Court is going to be looking at this very closely in a few days from now. Brinda Adige, one final question to you as I wrap this up. You know, there's obviously the issue of faith, something which Deepa speaks about so passionately, but there is also the issue of women's empowerment. And in Kerala, how have women come together across the state, literally arm in arm in many instances, to actually say this is our right, this is our belief, this is our constitution, this is our faith, and this is our India, right? How has this been one of the strongest fights and one of the most strongest sort of images that we've seen of women's empowerment in country over the last several weeks?
First and foremost, we also need to accept and understand that women are the greatest proponents of patriarchy. And we have seen that side in Kerala. Women are also asking for their rights to be upheld. We have also seen that in Kerala. What is important is not to have some people who officiate themselves to be the certifiers of what is faith and what is divine devotee. I think they need to be able to say, if I'm an activist, it's not that she can decide that I cannot be a devotee. If I'm a feminist, she cannot decide, or any of them cannot decide that I cannot be a devotee. What is important is my political leanings may be whatever, but my faith is mine, is not yours to decide and measure and tell that this is good faith and bad faith. This is exactly what we need to argue there. And we should have political parties out from this discussion. We need to have only the devotees there. Both the mortal devotees, the divine devotees, and the menstruating women.
That faith is an issue which is intensely personal, and no one needs or should have the right to decide who is faithful and who is not. One way or the other, this is coming up with the Supreme Court. Let's see where that goes. I'd like to thank all of you very much for joining us.